Hi, welcome to the Palavahut Show, and I'm your host, Gifty Doku. The Palavahut Show will bring you interviews with guests that would inform, educate, and entertain you on various facets of African culture from here in the USA and abroad. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now let's get the show started. We like it today. We have our beautiful, wonderful sister here, Amie, right?
Yes.
Okay. Amie's into matchmaking, and I know we most of the time trying to misunderstand the meaning between the matchmaking and all this online dating and stuff.
Yes.
So maybe we're gonna start from there so we can clarify why you're here and exactly what you do. So if you're gonna help us break that down a little bit.
Sure. I'm a matchmaker, and what I basically do, I have more of a personal relationships with my clients. So I get a chance to talk with them, sit down, and see what exactly they want. But I also have to be very intuitive and give them advice that they may not want to hear. But the alternate goal is just to set them up with someone that will make them happy and that they can coincide with. Now, between matchmaking and online dating service, the difference is there's no matchmaker. You, the individual, you have a selection of different people that you can choose from, not really knowing if they're honest or if they're sincere or what their intentions are. So a lot of people, there's Match.com, there's eHarmony.
Oh yeah.
So many different types of sites out there for love. So if you have a little bit more time, a little bit of investment, it's best to choose a matchmaker.
It's worth it.
It's worth
It becomes worth it because you get to be more personal relation with these people.
Exactly.
Than just reading their bio and be like, okay, I think you're okay for this person. I think you're, that's fine. Well, so now we know what you do.
Yes.
So we're gonna come down and talk about you a little bit.
Okay.
You're from Sierra Leone, right?
My mom is from Sierra Leone, yes. My father's from here.
Okay.
So I'm from Maryland.
Okay.
Traveled a lot. So when I started the company, because of my traveling actually, and just seeing the various types of people that were single, and I've always had a niche and nosiness, I guess, to want to connect them, you know, just because everyone does belong with someone, and there's always someone for someone else.
That's true. That's true. So how long have you been in the business?
Well, I started my company. I did an online service about 4 years ago. I started in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I just wanted to basically advertise. So when I went out and I met someone, I'll give them my business card. Yeah. And it was very easy for them to go online, to give me their name, a little bit of bio of who they are, to implement their photo. So I, get a chance to see who my clientele are. Yeah.
So you actually started online before you moved on to just the actual...
Well, no, I actually did just, personal, going out, meeting people, meeting friends of friends. The reason why I did my online company was just because if I didn't have a really good personal relationship with you, let's say, for instance, you had a friend that was single, and they wanted to know what my services were. Going online is a great way of advertising and to showing what you can offer them. Yeah. So it's always good to have something online so people can know that you're legit, for one.
True, though.
And
that's true.
Yeah, and for two, it helps me to basically dilute from what people want.
Or actual.
Yeah, because it's not a quick service. It's not really a dating service. It's more like long term. Okay. I really want serious people that are looking for their true mate and not just a fling.
Because I'm sure otherwise you'd be in so much trouble. I mean, people calling back to tell you, hey, yes. I mean, I'm
yes.
a member of you and what's going on, and
yes.
these people are frauds or,
Yes.
I think it's a risky business somehow.
It's very risky because you have liabilities. You want to make sure that you're protecting your client.
Yeah.
So, you have to offer a background check also, too, for people. You can come to me and say anything.
Yeah.
And although I'm very intuitive, there's some people out there that can trick you.
That's true.
So, yeah, I want to make sure my clients are protected and that I'm representing them to the best capability that I can.
That's true. How do you go about doing that? Do you have people you hire to investigate them like behind their backs, or do you kind of like just sometimes we go to find out about people, we go on Google, we go Facebook, we go there are big offices that even do that anyway. So how do you go about knowing more about the people you're dealing with?
That's the wonders of having an internet. Online is great because there are services in which I have that I can basically get their information, their social. Some people aren't really comfortable with that, and that's why when you hire a matchmaker, you have to be serious. Yeah. You know, because if you've had difficulty out there in the dating scene, if you're not someone that's sociable, not going to bars or clubs, you know, you pretty much have the same routine, and you're serious, you're ready for that person to spend the rest of your life with. So why not? It's just like if you're going to go to a bank and you want to invest your money in a bank or whatever services, you're going to give them your private information just so they can check to see who you are.
Who you really are.
Yeah. So if you're not if you're not comfortable with that, then that actually gives me like a red flag, you know, because I want to make sure that, hey, I have clientele that I'm looking out for their best interest.
Who trust you.
That trust me, and don't you also want me to introduce you to someone that legitimate and that also you can trust. So once you mention that, it kind of levels them out and makes them feel very comfortable.
Yeah. What made you get into this? Because seriously, you know, we Africans traditionally have our way of meeting our mates.
Yes.
If I should say, I mean, if we want to refer to our parents, actually, there was nothing like this. You get to meet your spouse or boy. I can't even say boyfriend because there was nothing like that.
Yeah, I know.
They introduce you to the person and that's what you get. Whether you like it or not, you go with the flow.
It's arranged.
Yeah, you go with the flow. So in that, what do you think it's so, would I say an advantage of going through these means to get someone compared to what we traditionally would accept as, you know, having a spouse?
I became a matchmaker just by happenstance.
Okay.
Meaning I will go out and I will meet people. You have to be very personable.
Yeah.
It's a business that, you know, if you can't communicate, if you're very close-minded, it won't work. But you know, I would have people, friends of mine, from different opposite sexes. They would say, "Oh, do you know someone?" So it just kind of naturally fell into place. Yeah. And then I was so happy when the relationships would work.
Of course.
When they got married, when they had children, and it was just a natural thing for me. And like you were saying, traditionally in different cultures, especially back in the day, like our grandparents' day, you know, you really didn't have a right to say who you loved. And it was more of the advantage towards the men. You know, the men are the ones that select it. Even now, in certain tribes in Africa, all over.
They still do.
They still do. You have different ceremonies in which the women display their beauty in front of certain men, and the men choose. In Western culture, it's a little bit different, you know, with women educating themselves and sometimes having more money than the men. So you kind of have like a power difference. So yeah, it's just where that person mentally need to be. You know, like if I come to you and say, basically what I'm doing is giving you an arrangement. Yeah. But my arrangement is what you want. So if you say, okay, I'm a teacher, I prefer someone that doesn't go out too much, that doesn't do this, I have to look for that person for you. Right. As opposed to, you don't even know. You know, I just come to you and say, oh, this is the guy for you. I also need your opinion. I also need to know what you want, what would make you happy. Because you don't want to put your feelings to the side just because you're lonely.
That's true, though.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people, they put their feelings, their emotions, what they really want to the side just because they're tired of being lonely.
That's true.
So you have to be able to give and take and meet someone that's willing to do that.
That's true. So do you have, like, or maybe on your website or wherever you do your business, do you have kind of like a registration? Do they have to register to be members of it? And
yes, I do have, on the site, there's a portion that says becoming a member. Okay. So it's simple questions. I just want to know your name, where you're from, your age, your occupation, a brief bio on who you are.
If you have a six-figure account.
Well, you know, actually, that's very important. That's very important. And money isn't always the issue, but I mean, you want to match someone up that's educationally kind of balanced, because I don't want to encourage, you know, oh, I have a woman that's looking for a rich man or a rich man that's looking for a beautiful doll piece. No, you have to balance. That's true. Because you get tired, you know, the money will run out possibly, or you may not look always the way you want to look. So, yeah, but so it's about finding that balance. And if I meet someone that's their main purpose, I want a rich man, or I want a beautiful woman, I want a rich woman, or I want to, no. Okay. No, then there are people that I turn away.
I was just going to ask you this. So would there be a chance like that? You'd be like, I'm sorry, I can't work with you. Would you be that personal with them, or would you ask them to kind of change some of their conceptions about whatever they're bringing forward?
Well, within the first, I think, 5 minutes, I can tell someone's real intention.
Okay.
Just by their language. I mean, if someone comes across really cocky and, arrogant, it's just kind of like, oh, that means to me that they don't have the patience or time. And possibly this is the way that they portray themselves in front of the opposite sex all the time. So you have to read into the person and what they really, truly want. And yeah, you have to let people honest and know, I don't think my service is for you because
this is
my clients are more long-term, and this is what I set people up in, and not quick fixes.
Yeah.
So there's going to be no one-night stands, no just friendship with benefits. These are people that are really serious about dating, and possibly if I connect someone with someone else and let's say it doesn't work out on the first date, I'm not a psychic. I can only give you my advice and to connect you with someone that I feel matches great with you, personality-wise, spiritually, family. These things are very important. And if the date goes on and they're not happy, then of course I do a follow-through. I want to know what happened. But I also prep them up on their date. Some people don't know what to say on their first date. They don't know what to wear. They're very nervous, especially if they haven't dated for a long time.
That's true.
I do have older clientele that work so much and they have children, so they don't have time to even go out on a date. So you have to kind of infiltrate. Listen, if you don't have time for that person just to go out on a date, then how will you have time for that person when you actually connect?
That's true. That's true. Well, I'm sure we have so much more to talk about because we have a few questions from most of our members. They want to know, maybe they want to get hooked up by the end of the session. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we could ask you more about some tips and what your rules are according to these things. Because I know most people have rules when they're setting you out for a date. They tell you what they expect and stuff like that, and some of your successes that we've had so far. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take up some public service announcements. So don't go anywhere. Just stay tuned. We'll be right back.
When tragedy struck Indonesia and Haiti, the world responded. The famine, war, and drought affecting the Horn of Africa right now is larger than both these crises combined, and the world should be paying attention. Text a donation of $10, but do more than donate. Forward the facts to everyone you know. Forward from our site, forward on Facebook, and forward on Twitter. We are the relief.
We've been talking to Amie, and we've been talking so much about what you do as a matchmaker and how this whole thing started and some of your, ideas and intuitions that led you to do this. We have pretty many questions from our guests, so I'm sure I'll be able to go through most of them. One thing somebody wanted to know was, is there really true love, you think?
Definitely. There's true love. It's kind of like a needle in a haystack because I think with relationships, there are different phases. There's that phase in which you two are so enamored with one another. This person can't say anything wrong. They can't do anything wrong.
That's right.
And then there's that other part where you get to know them, all their little niches, the idiosyncrasies, things that you can't stand. If you can withstand that, then you have the next phase where you have the infiltration maybe of children, your family, and I think that's the true test because all these different emotions and personalities, when you two can go over the hurdles, then I think it makes it a little bit easier. Now, whatever that hurdle may be, whatever it may be, which I'm thinking is going to be very great. You see couples that have been together for 50 years. And when you see them, if that love is not there, you can see it. It's just like, oh, we're just together to be together.
Very reflective, like.
Yeah, exactly. But then you see couples that are, very gray in their outer years. They're holding hands. They're affectionate. Affectionism is very important in a relationship. Touching the person, telling the person, I love you, you're beautiful, you look good today. Or, just doing little gestures to show them they appreciate it. Once someone in a relationship starts feeling that they're not appreciated, you better believe it's like a domino effect. Soon everything will start falling. So you just have to put that person, even if you're so busy with work, just take a moment to appreciate that person and let them know that they are appreciated.
But, you know, we women, most of the time when we hear things like this, it's more like that's what we women want to hear. Does it go the same way for the men as well?
Of course.
Okay.
Love is not gender specific.
Okay.
Love has no color. Love has no boundaries. True love is really accepting someone.
Okay.
In its totality, meaning if the person gains weight, the person goes bald, you know, the person, yes, you know, whatever may have you, is that you've decided, I'm going to accept this person with its entirety. Yeah. So it's hard to find that because we all have our
little things that it's just us.
But at the end of the day, you know, like when you have that person, no matter what, I'm going to be there for you. Okay. You want to hold on to that. It's a very few that you can find that will stick with you through thick and thin.
I suppose, because it can be tough. Because we're talking about it might be a situation that you cannot deal with. So how much do you have to put in to accept that? It would be a task. It would be difficult.
I understand. I never encourage someone to put their happiness to the side. If you're in a certain circumstance with your significant other, and it's taking its toll on you, and you're so unhappy, don't get out of it. Don't put yourself in a situation in which you're compromising to the point where you're losing sleep, you're forgetting your who you are, you're losing passion for things that motivate you, things that you know you had when you met them. So it definitely goes both ways. However, if this person is worth it, there's counsels. You know, you talk to someone. In the African community, like my mom, she's so good for like getting everyone involved. Okay. You know, so you want to, because when you're dating someone that's serious or you're married to someone, you have children, you have history, or you have common law or whatever, because there's so many, in the Western culture, there's so many different ways of being with someone. You can live with them and not necessarily be married.
Be married to them.
Yeah, you could be boyfriend and girlfriend, share a place, but if the person is worth it, meaning you know that person will accept you, but you're having problems. What relationship is not problematic at a time? Yeah. And if you can open up and talk to that person and say, baby, I love you, but I've been noticing we've been having an issue. And it's not always women that go to the men. Sometimes the men will also make a suggestion. Yeah. So once you have that person that's taking that extra step, if you are not at a place where you see yourself with that person, that's the best time to tell them. That's the best time. Instead of, you know, no, it's nothing wrong, you know.
I just hang in there.
I'll just hang, no, because it always resurfaces.
That's great because it brings that point where we've come to believe that communication becomes like the #1 thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you're able to communicate what you're feeling, what you want and what you don't want, and the other person can do the same, it brings you guys both to that balance where,
of course,
you know.
And it's much easier. Like if communication is not just always talking like, oh, you know, you bother me. No, communication is like physical, looking at each other. Yeah. It's verbal and non. Yeah. Like when someone walks into a room and they smile, you will smile. If someone walks into the room and they're all pissed off, that's communicating with that person. You can already feel that energy and that vibe. Yeah. So if you don't have that, so if you have that personality and that person has your personality, you can read the vibe, don't be afraid to say it. Also, why are you mad? What's wrong? Care about the person. Care what that energy like they're bringing into. Because if you don't care, then sooner or later the relationship is going to diminish.
That's true though. That's true. Would you believe in love at first sight? Do you think anything like that exists?
Of course. Of course. There's a certain percentage of that love at first sight. Okay. You know, I think there's a play of lustfulness as well. You know, like, let's be honest. When you see someone, it's your eyes.
The first thing they,
you know, you see them physically. If you're attracted to them, it brings that connection. However, once you start speaking to the person and the energy is there and you just, sometimes you can be so enamored with that person you don't want to leave the room and you're just like, okay, this date's supposed to be 30 minutes, but I've been here for 5 hours. You know, that's a form of love that comes into play for like your fellow human being. Now, the acceptance comes into play later because you already know, oh, we click. You know, like, oh, there's something between he and I that no one can, I haven't had this feeling a long time.
Just having your butterflies.
Yes, and there's so many different levels of love. Yeah. You know, so there's that love that you want to see them again. There's that feeling that, you know, you can even smell them when you leave. The acceptance, like I said, does come later.
But do you think this, well, I've been, I'm going to put myself out there.
Okay.
I've been this marriage for years.
Yes.
Do you think that love we had from the beginning still carries on throughout the years, or it kind of diminishes as the years go by? Because, you know, like we're saying, you meet the person the first time and they're the best, handsome person you ever met in your life.
Yeah.
And you have the butterflies and everything is just awesome. But you go beyond that and there's certain things you got to deal with because we're not perfect, definitely.
Yes.
So there's certain things you got to, like, you know, balance each other just to keep going.
Yes.
But I don't think the strength of it stays on that same scale the whole way throughout the years.
No, I have to differ from you. I think it all depends on what you go through with one another.
Okay.
Some couples can go through something so traumatic that draws them closer together.
Okay.
The bond is so unbreakable because that person has stood with you when you went through this tumultuous whole. Exactly. And when you find someone that's like that, even the person may not look how they looked years ago, even if that person annoys you, but you went through something and that person is still there. So sometimes that really bonds the relationship to the point where you're all of a sudden you're, and then there's some times where you guys have been through so much and you're just like, we have kids, let's just stick together for the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it all depends on the circumstances, but also the communication is very important.
That's true.
We all have our secrets, which is true.
Yeah.
But don't hold something back from the person that you intend to spend the rest of your life with, or that you're with, that can detriment the relationship.
That's
You have to
awesome.
live.
Well,
You have to live like put the shoe on the other foot. If you don't want it done to you, don't do it to them.
Well, I'm sure I'm doing something good here, but hopefully it sticks around for the next century or whatever that comes after that. Do you have rules when you set people out for dating? Because I know with the few that we've seen or watched or whatever, they have some rules. No kissing on the first date. Don't do this on the first. Do you give coach? Do you like advise them through it?
Well, that's what a matchmaker does. Like, I stay with you in its entirety. So even if you guys marry and there's an issue, like, I want to know.
Okay.
I'm not going to be your counselor, your psychologist, but, you know, I connected you two, and there was something. So sometimes people need to talk. Hey, you know, he sat out late last night, and I didn't feel too comfortable. Getting things off your chest alleviates so much stress.
It does.
You know?
It does. It really does.
And there are rules. Some people can be very nervous on the first date. So you want to kind of walk them through, let them feel really comfortable, let them know this is what you should wear. You know, and it's almost as if I have to guide you. That's why I'm here. You know what you want, but also too, I'm looking at you. And whatever you want, if you want a guy or female that's a certain way, and I'm connecting you with that person, if physically that person is insecure, I want the person to be confident in themselves. So I encourage that. I encourage them to be themselves. I encourage them to say certain things. You don't want to talk about finances on the first date.
Go into details.
Yeah, you want to stay away from anything that has to do with sex. You want to keep the conversation at a level in which you're not uncomfortable. Because sometimes a person can only give you a little bit at a time. You don't want to just reveal so much. And you want to read the person. So a lot of times, if I have a client, like I say, a little insecure, maybe about their weight, you have to just boost their confidence and put them into an attire that's going to be flattering to their size. And only thing I want to really give out to them is that I'm there for their best interest. I'm not there to belittle them. I'm there to really keep them with who they are, but also connect them with a person that's going to balance their happiness. I don't want someone that comes into my office or I meet them and immediately they have baggage from previous relationships. Because that's something I want to know. What was your past relationships like? Why did you break up? You know, what are some of the things that you yourself can be blamed for? No one wants to tell you that.
No.
You know, it's never their fault. And a lot of times, if they have that baggage, you can see the aggression. Because if they speak about their ex, it's whether they have a smile on their face or they're like, Palavahut, you know, like Palavahut, or they want to fight, or this person did this, and they're carrying all that, and they haven't forgiven. You have to forgive. Yeah. So when you're forgiven, you know, all your walls are down, and you can be comfortable being yourself. Because if you have baggage or if you have walls, when you meet that person, you can be facadical and just pretend. Sooner or later, like I was saying, it's going to resurface. Because you're going to try to make that person feel like it's because of you I'm not happy. And if you yourself aren't happy with yourself, how are you expecting someone else to make you happy?
That's true. We've had some great tips from you. What would be your last thing you want every girl there to know, or every guy there to know? One thing about dating.
Keep an open mind. Make sure that you don't compromise too much of who you are. And also, too, state your intentions. I think it's good when someone can state their intentions from the beginning. We don't do that anymore. Sometimes we go out there with just whatever. Whatever happens, happens. And that's good. That's good, too, because you don't want to look for love. That never happens. But you want to put it out there into the universe. You know, like, I'm going out here, I wish to meet someone. You know, when you put it out there, it's almost like you're attracting that. You think it, it will come. You know, so you definitely want to make sure that you're thinking positive and you want to be in the right frame of mind. So make sure that you're confident, make sure you have an open mind, and make sure you don't compromise too much of who you are.
That's great. So that's some great tips. We hope our viewers would take that in. But where would they find you? Do you have a website that they can look up and maybe sign up to get some of these great advices from you?
Yes, it's www.Intermix Matching, and that's INTERMIXMATCHING.com. And I also have an email, so you can reach me at Amie@intermixmatching.com. And I have a number, so my number is 323. I don't know if I should give my number out.
I'm sure we're going to have a lot of information on the website for
exactly,
them,
so they can find all the information on the website as well.
You can go to palavahut.com and you're going to find most of this information that we've shared here today. It's been so nice having you here.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Thank
this
you,
is great.
Thank you so much. We hope you're going to come back again. It shouldn't be
Gifty.
the end of it. We need so much advice because it goes from the dating to the marriage and the aftermath. So
exactly.
I'm sure we're going to need you again here sometime.
Oh, this is a pleasure,
Thank you
Gifty.
so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for watching, and if you want more information, you can go on www.palavahut.com, or you can follow us on Twitter as well, and you'll be able to have all this information and all the other segments we've had for you so far. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. Thanks so much for watching the Palavahut Show. You can find us online at www.palavahut.com and on Facebook at www.facebook.com. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Palavahut. And thank you so much for watching.
Palavahut, discuss about the ethics and community. Palavahut, worldwide trades and the politics. Palavahut, entertainment, fashion, keep it musical. Palavahut, international, you can come to the Palavahut. Discuss about the ethics and community. Palavahut, worldwide trades and the politics. Palavahut, entertainment, fashion, keep it musical. Palavahut, international, you can come to the Palavahut. Chessboard, kings and queens, life is like a circle. Palavahut is the brain for politics.